Hello, I'm Alan Bednar from Pellera Technologies. What if an attacker's entry point wasn't your network, but your CEO? This week at Pellera, we are exposing social engineering tactics that target leadership. This piece focuses on voice and SMS-based attacks, otherwise known as Vishing and Smishing, and how they can trick even the most security-aware executives. Through carefully crafted phone calls and deceptive text messages, attackers manipulate trust to obtain credentials, approve fraudulent transactions, or install malware in the environment. Our cybersecurity team at Pellera has seen these targeted campaigns lead to full takeover of corporate workstations and accounts. This isn't about broken technology or failed controls. It's about exploiting human nature, our trust, curiosity, and willingness to help others. I would like to share a recent example from a test we performed. This test focused on a social engineering campaign that combined both phishing and smishing and solely targeted executives within the organization. The smishing campaign involved text messages informing users that their password had expired, directing them to click a link to log in and change it. The Vishing campaign involved phone calls impersonating IT staff with the goal of convincing users to initiate a remote support session. To prepare for this test, we leveraged open source intelligence to identify employees within the IT department who could be impersonated. By creating fake Microsoft accounts in their names, this ensured that when we used Microsoft Quick Assist, the session request would appear on the target screen as if it were legitimately coming from a known internal employee. This pretext increased the believability of our calls and gave us multiple identities to rotate through when speaking to different users. The Vishing campaign launched first, targeting multiple executives. Most were cautious, some didn't answer, and others questioned the legitimacy of the call, which all users should do when randomly receiving a call from IT. However, one executive failed to validate the call, and the following information showcases the risk involved when user awareness fails. I introduced myself as an IT employee, explained that system updates had been deployed, but we were unable to complete them on their workstation. We requested assistance in setting up a remote session. The user responded they were about to go to lunch. The timing here was key and offered an advantage. When users are rushed or distracted, they're often less vigilant, which attackers can exploit to shift the odds in their favor. I specifically try to time my calls around lunch or at the end of the day for this reason. Although initially skeptical when I asked them to use Quick Assist, a tool that was not commonly used internally, the executive looked up the user I was impersonating and mentioned that we have had a conversation before. I agreed, and at this point, trust between me and the user was established. The downfall here was while the executive did validate the impersonated user was an actual employee, they did not follow up to validate the legitimacy of the call. For example, send a Teams message to ensure that they were actually talking to the person on the phone. From there, I provided the Quick Assist session code, and the user granted me full remote access to their workstation. While the campaign's goal was only to achieve remote access, in a real-world attack, this foothold could have easily been leveraged to install malware, steal data, and/or establish a persistent command and control session. Following the Vishing test, the Smishing campaign also successfully compromised a set of credentials from the executive team. This case highlights that elaborate technical exploits aren't always required to compromise an organization. A simple yet well-timed social engineering campaign was enough to obtain both remote access and valid credentials from an executive. We are seeing an increasing number of such attacks across industries in recent years, making user awareness and organizational readiness more important than ever. According to Huntress, the average cost of a data breach in 2024 was $4.8 million. The Verizon Data Breach Investigation Report from 2025 indicates that 60% of all data breaches involve the human element. Here are several key recommendations to help protect your organization from these attacks. Number 1, user training. Employees are the first and most important line of defense against social engineering attacks. Train users to verify any unusual requests through a secondary channel, such as a separate email, phone call, or in-person confirmation. Promote a report-first culture. Encourage users to question and report suspicious calls, texts, or emails without fear of reprimand. Delayed reporting gives attackers more time to expand their access. Number 3 is restrict remote access tools. Standardize and lock down approved remote support applications. If Quick Assist or other similar tools aren't part of normal operations, block them through policy or endpoint controls. Number 4, multi-factor authentication. Enforce number matching MFA for all logins, especially executive or privileged accounts. Even if credentials are stolen, MFA can prevent an attacker from leveraging an account externally. And last, perform continuous simulated testing. Conduct regular social engineering simulations to measure readiness and reinforce security awareness across all levels of the organization. The same authority that makes your executive powerful also makes them prime targets for an attacker. Empower your leadership with security awareness that transforms risk into resilience. Visit the link in this post for 10% off cybersecurity defenses that make a difference. At Pellera, we don't just identify vulnerabilities, we partner with you to create security solutions.